Hey, everybody. This is Nevin Gusak, your host of the Populist Patriot. I'm going to do a couple of more live streams to go over some news here that I've been recently examining. June 11th, 2022, we have this story on CBS News. Nicaragua gives permission for Russian troops to enter country. Well, I guess it sounds like Red Dawn is closer and closer to that of the continental United States, and the Sandinista dictatorship of President Daniel Ortega has authorized Russian troops, planes, and ships to deploy to Nicaragua for purposes of training, supposedly law enforcement or emergency response. Yeah, right. It's really to enhance Nicaraguan military capabilities, and Nicaragua is aligned with Russia and Cuba, as well as Venezuela and Bolivia and Latin American far left. And the Nicaraguan government also authorized the presence of small contingents of Russian troops for, quote, the exchange of experiences and training. So, in other words, it's basically to beef up the Nicaraguan military. And again, this shows that Red Dawn is closer and closer to the United States, that the dominoes are falling in Latin America. I was talking with my girlfriend. Her stepmother is Colombian, father is Peruvian, and they were talking about the elections in Colombia, and apparently the FARC party has won. In Peru, the far left party has won. So you have Pedro Castillo as president. So Latin America is on the march to the far left. This portends not a good thing. Now, here, radical civic nationalists, we don't agree that America should be exporting neoliberal, Milton Friedman style economics and plutocratic forms of government in the guise of democracy. We also do not agree with the promotion of any form of like fascist or communist dictatorships in Latin America. You know, we prefer our own unique brand of populism and civic nationalism to take root. Of course, with the consent of the Latin American peoples themselves, they have to figure out their own problems, but at the same time, and build their own state structures. And certainly we would encourage any forms of government or political parties that align with radical civic nationalist values. If we were ever in the government, we would encourage those forces throughout the world. However, at the same time, the peoples of the world have to make their own decisions too as well. We can't impose our values through direct exportation by military intervention. I don't support that. However, Russian troops in Sandinista, Nicaragua, is not in the strategic interests of the United States of America. Actually, it's detrimental to the strategic interests of the United States. So again, Latin America, some of the dominoes continue to fall. Looks like Brazil could be poised for a comeback by the Workers' Party of Brazil. There are aspects of policy that it seemed like that Jair Bolsonaro and the Social Liberal Party has kind of fallen on their feet with, to tell you the truth. Of course, there are certain things I agree with Jair Bolsonaro on. At least during his campaign, he took a strong stand against Russia and China, Cuba and Venezuela. He was very pro-United States when it came to aligning with certain American strategic interests. He took a hard line against China, communist China's predatory trade practices towards Brazil. But unfortunately, he, like many conservative parties, they take money from plutocratic oligarchic interests, as typical of conservative parties. And these the oligarchs in Brazil, the private sector oligarchs in Brazil, they make money by exports of raw materials and commodities to China. And you have also Paulo Guedes and other neoliberal market fundamentalists that have control over economic policy to a degree, and they are free traders. They believe in trade with pretty much anybody and anything that calls itself a country. And that undermines the anti-communist mission of the Bolsonaro government too as well. And they've also encouraged Bolsonaro to undertake the privatization even of Brazilian strategic industries, and that's not necessarily a good idea from a national security perspective. So Brazil is potentially marching back towards a takeover by the Workers' Party of Brazil. Bolivia, the MAS party, commands a parliamentary majority. You have Peru also falling under the control of Pedro Castillo and the Peruvian Marxists. You have Colombia now, it looks like, falling to the FARC's political front. You have Venezuela, you have Nicaragua, you got Cuba. So Latin America is a place to watch. FMLN has been a major political force in El Salvador since it demilitarized itself and became a political party. And they're aligned with the Russians and the Chinese too as well. So we have to be really, really careful. And this latest news that Russian troops are entering Nicaragua, this is not good news for the security interests of the United States. And that concludes this live stream. More to come.